Hello again, everybody. Jim Hickey, also known as at Bass Fishing Tips, here with you today to tell you about some rather cool equipment I got from a company called RAH Tackle out of Florida. They operate online stores both through their own website as well as through Amazon. And one of the cool things I like about this company is their pretty good prices on some pretty cool gear that's used, highly usable by us bass fishing folks, as well as other fisher people as well. All right, so in this initial acquisition, okay, I picked up 4 items, and I'm somebody who's always looking for a pretty good deal. I don't like spending, a whole lot of money when I don't have to on even things like fishing reels. And they had some pretty low priced reels, which sometimes get you worried. But from what I had read about reviews from some people, it didn't sound too bad. So I figured, what the heck, for that price, it's worth picking up and seeing what it's all about. Also picked up some coil lanyards with some carabiner ends that I can use for fixing things to the kayak when I'm out in the kayak. So if something falls overboard, it just doesn't sink. And their wacky kit, which even though I've got a lot of wacky stuff, I thought it was pretty cool to have all this together, and it'd be a pretty cool review. Plus, I wanted to see what their wacky worms were like, and I actually got this box about several days ago, and haven't done anything with the reels yet. Put a couple of put one of the lanyards into use, and I got more to put into use. Um, but the wacky kit I have used a couple times. I used it yesterday. Some of the worms, not wacky fish. I didn't wacky them. I actually just Texas rigged them and did pretty well. Got several bass, a couple of 17 inchers. And then today I was out in the kayak and to try it wacky style. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in the future. But let me show you what I got and what it's all about and what I think is cool about it. Start out with the lowest price item first, and that's the lanyard set, the coiled lanyards. Okay, and there's a carabiner on one end down here, and on the other end there's this huge split ring. And basically, let me show you how I use these things. And I've got some other ones that I've used as well as some other, like hanging things for badges that I've adapted, which I could now get rid of and have the coil feature, which is a lot better. But here's one thing I really like to do, and I've done with a couple of small boxes, mainly the kind of the doubles Plano size. I guess it's like a 3500 or 3400 size, which I have some Ned Rig stuff in, and I have most of my common hooks and jigs that I use in that. Okay, but here's a 3600 size box. I think it is, anyways. Yep, 3600 size. And you'll notice that I've attached the split ring to the hanging tag here. That these things are on display in the store. They're hanging from pegs, and it says to remove it if you're going to use it. Well, no, I've actually just attached the split ring to it, and of course you got to watch it because this is a rather fragile fitting compared to most. But I've got one or two on the boat that I've had, the kayak that I've had for now over a year, and it's still holding up fine. So something to keep in mind. And of course, I can then, whoops, clip the carabiner, right to the one of the eyelets in the kayaks, and you're good to go. And if it falls overboard, don't have to worry about losing it. Okay, the next item. Well, let's get into the reels. Okay, so I got one of the baitcasting reels, the low-profile baitcasting reel. Cost $39.99, I believe what it is, and it's they got a lot of ball bearings, 12 to 1, and I think it's a 6-4 to 1 retrieve if I recall. It doesn't say here in the box, but here's, whoops, the box that comes in, and here is the reel. Okay, which, if you've seen their advertisements, tweets, on Twitter or Facebook, okay, you've probably seen pictures of this. And it's a low profile. Just from playing with it so far, seems to be pretty solid. Okay. When I put it in free spool and spin the spool, it spins like crazy. Nice, actually physical drag adjustment on the right side by the handle, which all baitcasting reels have, and then a magnetic control on the other side. So pretty cool. You notice that I haven't put line on it yet, but I'm about to tonight because it's going out tomorrow. And my initial impression is it seems pretty solid. Okay, but of course the proof is in the pudding. How well will it stand up, and we'll find out about that over time. So after I use it for a week or so, a couple of weeks, I'll give you an update, and then at the end of the season, and then next year, okay, after it gets a lot of abuse, because I fish a lot and it's going to get used quite a bit. I can tell you that up front. Pretty impressive little deal. Okay, next item is spinning reel, which is 3,000 size. The only thing I'll say about this, the 3,000 size is a little smaller than I thought it would be, which is no big deal because it's about the same weight of a most 2,500 3,000 size, so it's going to balance the rods that I want. But here it is. I think this is their AB series 3,000, AD series. Of course, it's got the handle you can reverse from one side to the other. It's got a quick folding handle, which is kind of nice. And the one thing I was very impressed about this is how solid and smooth this thing is. I mean, this thing feels almost as solid and smooth as my Stratix, Shimano Stratix, which this is $26, $27, $25.99, and a Stratix, what, $150? Okay. Again, proof is in the pudding. How well will it hold up? We'll find that out. Lines going on, it's going to get put into use, and you'll hear more about this in the future. Just I was very impressed with how solid this little $26 reel is. Okay, if it holds up for a year, I'd be ecstatic. Okay, so that'd be pretty cool. All right, and the other thing, I love to fish soft stick baits. I'm a soft stick bait nut. I got all kinds of them. But I decided to see what the kit was all about. For one thing, it comes pretty well complete as a wacky kit, and that's how they sell it. And I instantly thought, well, it's not just wacky. It's got 3 sizes of hooks in it: number 1, number 2, number 1, number 1/0, and 2/0. And some of my friends use 2/0 for like Texas rigging, the soft stick baits. I don't. I use a 3/0, so that's one adjustment I'd make. But it comes with 21 total worms. Some of them missing now because I've started to use them. Comes in a nice little handy dandy, box. Here's the kit the way it looks. Has a Wacky Rig tool that already has one of the carabiners on it, so that's pretty cool. You'll notice there's not a lot of O-rings there because I've been using it. Okay. The 7 of each color, the 3 colors: June bug, green pumpkin, and watermelon red flake. And of course there's extra O-rings, so I'll be recharging that shortly. Pretty impressed with this little kit so far. I mean, it worked well. I like I said, I used it yesterday. I think that's that one. And Texas rigged watermelon red flake and caught some nice bass, including a couple 17 inches on it. Another 15 inch, another 13.5, 14 inch, some smaller bass. And today had it out specifically fishing the Wacky Rig, and I caught 8 bass, 3 pickerel. Most of the bass are little guys, been under 12 inches, and a couple were aquarium size, real little guys, and they still hooked them. But a couple of decent, 13 3/4, I think was one, and the other one was like 14 3/4. So a couple of better ones, not bad. And the one thing I do on my Wacky rigs when I use the O-rings, okay, because for years I just like to do the conventional Wacky rig, okay, where you take the hook, take your worm, find the midpoint, drive the hook through it, find the midpoint, drive the hook through it, okay, and then just fish it that way. And when you use one O-ring, it doesn't quite hang the same way. But if you put 2 O-rings on it and cross it, in other words, once you get them there, pull one over the other one so it forms a cross, and then put the hook under it, you get the same type of approach, and it worked very well, which I tried today. I've done it in the past, but I wanted to see how theirs hold up. Just some initial notes: the worm sinks pretty well, okay, and not as well as some of the more highly salted baits, but this one sinks pretty well. And it seems to be a pretty tough little worm. As a matter of fact, the only ones I've lost so far have either been to pickerel or ones that I put in the trees. Okay, so anyway, all right. So there you go. It's just something to keep in mind. So pretty, if you're in the market for a kit, you never Wacky Rig before, you want to try this, here's a way to get going relatively inexpensively. So again, those are the 4 items I got. And I'll give you updates on the reels as I'm using them, and you can see how they go. And I actually have some ideas about how you can actually enhance this kit by adding a few other things. And we'll talk about that in the future too. But you can actually make it so it's not just a weightless wacky rig and Texas rig. Throw in a few sinkers. You can make it weighted. Throw in a few nail weights. You got the wacky tool already in there. You can make Nico rigs. Again, bunch of possibilities here. We'll talk more about that in the future. All right, that's the kit. Gone longer on than I wanted it to, but I wanted to show you everything I've got, as well as my first impressions, so you get an idea what it's all about. And like I said, there'll be more coming soon. Be talking to you again. Have a great day. Enjoy your time on the water. Remember, tight lines, everybody, and lots of bass over those gunnels. Talk to you again real soon.